So hello booktube. Like most people in the modern day, I spend a lot of time on my phone. So I looked at my weekly graph of screen time and worked out a daily average, and it would be approximately 4 hours and 33 minutes. I thought, what if I replace my screen time with reading time? I would like to replicate this kind of video with a lot of different hobbies, like replacing screen time for gym time and that kind of thing. I just think it would be really fun and an interesting experiment. So come and join me. So hello again booktube. I've read for approximately 1 hour and 5 minutes today, and that puts me at about a quarter of the way through the challenge for today. You know, I could split hairs about my screen time, and I could say no, 4 hours and 33 minutes is not accurate because I listen to YouTube on the way while I drive to work, and if it's 1 hour each way, that's approximately half of my screen time. I don't spend that much time on my phone. Excuses. The point of this challenge is to just have fun and to read, and so that's what I'm doing. I am emotionally wrecked because this book is so fantastic. This is When a Crocodile Eats the Sun by Peter Godwin, and this is for my Read Africa project, whereby I explore the African continent through literature. And this is Zimbabwe. I was very much dreading this country because I am traumatized. Every time I would turn on the news and hear something about Zimbabwe, I would immediately turn off because it is so sad and heart-wrenching. So in 2008, there was a financial crash across the entire world, and I was approximately 10 years old at that time. So again, anytime I turn on the news, I got very sad and depressed. And there was a schoolboy joke that went around in our classrooms because I went to school with a lot of Zimbabwean people and people with Zimbabwean relatives, obviously, because it's a neighboring country. They would say, no, when you go to the shop in Zimbabwe and you need to buy bread, you have to go with a wheelbarrow. People will steal your wheelbarrow and not the money because the currency is worth essentially nothing. You know, $1,000,000 will essentially get you nothing. And even if you go to the shop with your $1,000,000, there isn't any bread on the shelves. And Mugabe has just absolutely disintegrated and destroyed the country. He hides behind his rhetoric of, racist white people and racist white landowners, which is not the entire story. There's a lot of different facets to the story. And so again, I'm just like breaking my heart with this book, but this book is coming to an end. So I don't know what the hell else I'm going to read now for this for this challenge. If I have to read for another like 3 hours, I'm going to chow this book. So I don't know, like, do I read this one next, which is The Battle of Bangui, the inside story of South Africa's worst military scandal since apartheid. This one is for the Central African Republic. Ideally, I would not have done this book. I would have gotten a Central African Republic author. However, this has been on my shelf and on my TBR for like years now, maybe 5 years or something. And I thought that the challenge would be a perfect excuse to pick it up. So I think I might do this one. I've got a bunch of other books for my Read Africa project, and that's just what I'm prioritizing at the moment. So obviously you can continue watching this video and then you'll see what I eventually choose. So I've got about 3 more hours left of this challenge, and I have completed this book as predicted. It's absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to save any further discussion for a separate review video. When I looked at my physical TBR, I've got Central African Republic, I've got Lesotho, Niger, and Ghana. But then I also have a book that's been lingering in my work bag for a long time and I haven't finished because it's so good and I'm savoring it. I've got ebooks lingering on my phone unfinished. So I was just thinking maybe I should do those rather than starting a new book. And it is ironic because this challenge is supposed to be about getting off my phone, but now I'm getting back on my phone to read ebooks. So I've got just under 2 hours of this challenge left. I've completed Finding My Way by Malala Yousafzai. That book has been sitting on my phone for a very long time and I've been reluctant to finish it because Malala has such a compelling narrative voice and I didn't want the book to end. She's only got 2 books. She's got Finding My Way and I Am Malala, but obviously I Am Malala she wrote when she was a lot younger and she hadn't developed into herself as much as she has now. So, and I think those of us in South Asian communities, there are some commonalities. So she grew up in Pakistan, but in Mingora, which is a particularly remote aspect of Pakistan. It's not like Lahore or in the more urban, modern kind of centers of Pakistan. So things are a lot more patriarchal. There's a lot more emphasis on honor and culture and all of these things, which it can feel quite stifling to a young person. And for me, things were somewhat similar. So there was a conservative South African Indian community that I was raised within, but I also had a lot of external South African influences that I resonated a lot more with, and I felt so embraced by them. So again, I would get a lot of comments from older South African Indians. Oh, why do you only have black friends? Like, why don't you have more Indian friends? And then as soon as I do have an Indian friend, oh, why are they South Indian? Why aren't they North Indian like you? And then I just wanted to show them the middle finger because I could never please anyone. It was similar with my Aji. I remember having an argument where she said, no, you're going to a multiracial school, but you need to learn your culture and your heritage. You need to learn Hindi. What do you mean you can't read, speak, or write Hindi? I said to her, Aji, I don't have the capacity. I'm learning 3 languages at school. I have English, Afrikaans, and isiZulu, and these are official languages, whereas Hindi is not. So what do you think I'm going to prioritize? I said something about Hindi being a foreign language, and she just blew up at me and said, it's not foreign, it's your language. Hindi is the language of the heart. Wow, 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 wow. I was not interested. I was a child with a lot of attitude. And the thing with Malala Yousafzai is she is that as well. She says, I don't know why the media painted me as this martyr, that I was a wallflower, and then when the Taliban wanted to take away my books, then suddenly I stood up. She said, I was always naughty. I don't know why they painted me as a saint. And I just love that about her. I love her frankness and her honesty and the way she grapples with these questions and asks what could be rather than looking at just what is and then accepting it blindly. So I think that, these aspects and these character traits of hers are fantastic. I have seen her gain a lot of criticism online from keyboard warriors saying, no, some of it is conservative Muslim people saying, dishonor, whatever. Some of it is, she's selling out to liberal Western, whatever, powers. But the concern is, okay, what do you want her to do? Because as a child, she was financially supporting her entire family with her speeches and everything that she was doing. So again, what else did you want her to do as a young person with the world on her shoulders? And she had, so she lived in Pakistan for some of her life, and she had some UK influences. And that for her, she did find to be liberating in some ways, but so puzzling at the same time, because she knew Pashto, but not English. And so I don't know. For me, look, I always grew up with like a shit ton of languages, so it wasn't necessarily an issue for me. And when she talked about her university experience and really struggling to grapple with the material, I was so taken by that. I really was. Just by her honesty and her frankness, because that's so helpful to young people who are also struggling. She talked about her mental health struggles and PTSD and things which I also very much resonate with. Obviously, I don't have the Taliban in my country, but there are lots of a lot of political unrest, and I have been very involved and very vocal in that, and I just feel that it's the right thing to do. Sometimes your family doesn't understand, but it's the right thing to do, and it's what your conscience tells you, so that's what you do, as much as you might face backlash. So I just think she's such a strong person. I really love the book, and I do fantasize. I'm like, she's come to South Africa before. Maybe I would be able to meet her in this lifetime. We are about a year apart, so she's 1 year older than me. And it's just amazing to be living in the same time as such a fantastic person who's doing such amazing work. I am also really dreaming about starting my own NGO within South Africa, because I'm in a particular region where there's not a lot of NGOs. Because we're not one of the rich provinces, let me just put it that way. And yeah, people around me have been hounding me, like, you've been talking about starting an NGO for a long time. I've got people who are on my side in that regard, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. But the point of this video is not that. It's for me to get off my phone and read. So I'm gonna get off my phone now and, get back onto my phone and read some more ebooks. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I don't know. I'll just look around and pick something. Okay, so see you later. So hello again, BookTube. If I look and sound tired, it's because I am. I've finished the challenge. It's now bedtime and shower time and all of that. I've been reading Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy, and I've been loving it. It's another book that's sort of been lingering because I changed work devices, and so the book has sort of been lost and forgotten, so to speak. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I love women with rebellious spirits who question things. It just makes me feel a lot less alone within the toxicity that I've seen within my life, the change that I want to be within my life. And yeah, I just love it. So that is the end of the video. I've had such a great time reading a lot today. I feel like I'm coming back to myself whenever I do that. When I was younger, family members would look at me and say, oh, they would say to my parents, oh, does she read a book every single day? Because if I went to a 3-day wedding, then of course I would have a different book every day. And yeah, I mean, reading is just where I feel at home, and definitely writing feels the same for me. I do anticipate publishing a book at some point, maybe a short story anthology or poetry anthology or whatever it is. But yeah, so like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.